Joining us now is Marjorie Velazquez, candidate for the 13th City Council District. Welcome, bienvenida.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to know you. I hadn't met you before, so it's really exciting.
Same here.
Now, let's start off the bat. What is your connection to the 13th District?
So it's been living there for over a decade. Actually, I lived in the bordering town of Parkchester, so not too far. We share some of the same schools where I went to public school for 106 and 127, and then ultimately went to the high school in the district, St. Catherine's Academy. And my parents sent me there, because they didn't trust me around boys at high school age. And so ultimately that led to a time at NYU where I ended up taking accounting and finance that led to a career at DirecTV, managing the books for 16 different countries in Latin America. And that's my strength there, finding that balance and understanding how to go into a country, fix the bugs, hold folks accountable, and make sure that it works for each and every single country.
Then you started getting politically involved, or civically involved, I should say.
For me, the civic involvement really began when I got hurt.
You had an accident.
I had an accident and a crash. I had a workplace accident followed by an auto crash where I ended up having 7 surgeries, and I got really stuck in this healthcare bureaucracy. All that red tape and dealing with different insurance companies and the struggle of just having someone to listen and just getting the proper medical care done and at the right time. And what was worse is actually dealing with what I was dealing, right? I'm bilingual, I have access to lawyers, I have access to great doctors, and yet I was still stuck in this. And there were families next to me who didn't have English as a first language, who needed help with the different forms they were filling out. So I took that opportunity to start speaking with them. And that's those little steps that you start getting in and you're like, I really got to get involved. I have to give people a voice. And so I really got into it. I decided to join the community board. I'm a treasurer there now. I decided to run for district leader. I was the first Latina to actually win, and that's 82nd AD Part B, to be really specific. And then a friend and I came up with an idea of launching a women's group called Bronx Women United to keep women civically and politically engaged. We wear so many hats as women, and it's having that network, that connection of, hey, I'd like to do this issue, and reaching out to my friends in this way, and this connection that we all had, it actually empowers each other, but just giving a voice and listening.
How do you think, Marjorie, District 13th has changed since you came into the neighborhood?
Well, the first way I moved into the district was one of my friends who's a cop was moving on, and he's like, Marge, I have the best apartment for you. And I'm just fresh out of college trying to get into my own, and I was like, fine. And sure enough, it was the best. I mean, it was right behind Villa Barone. So imagine the smells that were coming out of there.
Fantastic.
Oh my goodness. And the district has changed. I mean, you have more families moving in there. You definitely have, as a Latina, I've seen an increase of Latinos moving in as well. And you know what doesn't change is the family. It's the strength of hearing us all together and all being there for each other, and that's the strength that keeps this district alive.
Talking a little bit about issues now, in terms of what you stand for, let's start with education. What are your thoughts there?
My biggest challenge, right? We're living in a system where the Bronx is an outer borough. It's been ignored. The services are not the same. I went to 127, like I'd mentioned before, and I actually did the Gifted and Talented program. I was selected within a public school and said, here, you are testing way outside the spectrum. You really need to go into a more specialized program for gifted and talented students there. They not only offered me Spanish, but I also learned an additional language. And I also was able to take Regents classes at an 8th grade, so that when I even started high school, I was already advanced. And that strength and that encouragement actually led me to continue my education into NYU, where I ended up graduating with accounting and finance, more of the math stuff that I was able to enjoy at an 8th grade level. Now, students don't have that. That same school is actually being co-located. And that's the struggle. That's the challenge that I've seen so far in the district, where Lehman High School, same thing, split up. Columbus High School split up. And all of that just leads to more confusion, more chaos for our students. And you also have this selective process that's happening now with these for-profit charter schools that take away the resources from our public schools. And you know what? We have to make sure that we're taking care of our students and our families have the right options, and they get to do that when everything is available to them. Right now, the Bronx doesn't have that available, especially in our district, and that's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for families to have the right education for their students. And when we're looking at after-school programs, unfortunately, there's no real affordable after-school programs for families, so they're really forced to try to make it home at a quicker time, and that's where my focus is on transportation. Because unfortunately, you
It's a very good topic. This used to be a double fare zone, and now things are changing, but still it's one of the most remote areas in the entire Bronx.
And it's not fair to us. You know, when we're having a ferry service, we still don't have it. Every other borough does. We're still going to have it next year, and that's a promise for somewhere outside our district in Soundview. Come on, Jimmy ordered that study, and we didn't get it. And we have the infrastructure already. We have SUNY Maritime. Why
So
not
I'm assuming that's one of the causes that you would push.
That is my number one priority. Our families need to come home at a quicker rate. Our families should not have to struggle whether or not they can take a job because their commute time is over 2 hours. They should have the ability to come in and out the city within 20 minutes and paying $2.75. I personally pay $6.75 each way because of the express bus that never seems to make it express for
or
me.
express trains as well. Marjorie, in terms of jobs and economic development, what is your vision there?
For me, in the district, as you can see, even for the Bronx, there's this whole Bronx is booming. When we're looking at this Bronx is booming, why aren't we not focusing on more labor jobs for our families? Why are we bringing people from outer states? And we are letting this happen with the overdevelopment that's starting to come up. What we really need to do is take a step back, look into the apprenticeship programs that are available right now, and also bring them into the high schools. That way, you know what, college isn't for every kid. It's not. But we don't even have an alternative because we've given them away. We don't have as much arts and music programs as we should. We don't even have a trades program as we should. So bringing those apprenticeship programs at an early age into our schools gives our children a chance to consider those careers. And you know what? These labor jobs are real good salary jobs, and so guess what? You provide the proper salaries, families stay in the district, and you create this economic development all over. Everyone wins, and that's my biggest challenge, is how do we let those developments happen without giving proper jobs? And it's finding other jobs and resources, you know, bringing up the tech sector into here in the district and expanding. I mean, look at, we're in the Bronx and there's a TV studio here. This
in
wasn't
East Bronx.
Exactly, it wasn't here before, and having that development, encouraging our students and our kids to actually pursue this career is possible now. Before it wasn't.
Marjorie, the immigration debate continues very heated, mainly from Washington. As a council member, if elected, what is it that you could do to help improve services and resources at the very hyper-local level?
Well, a couple of things, and this one's really difficult for me emotionally because just this weekend I met a gentleman whose wife is about to be deported. They've been married for 22 years. They have 3 children, and unfortunately they've been told that their marriage is false by the government. You spend 22 years with someone, you have kids with someone, and it's false? And that's unfortunately the realities that our families are facing. That's what we are working really hard with. I am working with the group Make the Road and Councilmember Jimmy Baca, who actually
That's endorsed you, right? He's the incumbent.
Yes, and Make the Road has also endorsed me. And these groups are designed to help with the immigration process. And unfortunately, I think when people first started hearing about the immigration issue, everybody thought that it was the undocumented folks. But it's just more about undocumented. You could have your green card and still be faced with deportation. And I think this is a reality that our families need to be aware of, because a lot of folks that have come in from Italy, from Ireland, who still have their green cards, they need to understand that they need to become citizens right away to avoid any of these hassles. And what I'm working, back to that story with Councilmember Vaca, it is about going and helping this family. That's what we've been doing, especially because he does have an immigration attorney, in his office that has been coming in and helping families.
Thank you, Marjorie, for joining us, and good luck in the primary.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back.